I'm a teacher, wife, mother, child of God, if I can say that, and a breast cancer survivor. I teach preschool over in East Syracuse Minoa schools. I teach an inclusion class, and which is half typical students and half special needs, and they have my heart over there. I was 35 when I was diagnosed. It was 2006. I had 2 young children at the time, and I had some discharge out of my nipple, and it was very concerning to me. It was bloody. So I went to my family doctor, and he said I was probably too young for a mammogram, but recommended that I see my gynecologist. So I did go see my gynecologist, and she sent me right for a mammogram, and from there we had a few other tests and confirmed that it was cancer by the end of the month. So I had an aggressive treatment because I had an aggressive cancer. I had triple negative breast cancer, which means that my cancer did not react to progesterone, estrogen, or HER2. So when you're triple negative, it is a more aggressive cancer. Often comes back within 5 years. I've been blessed that it hasn't come back. I've been a survivor for 12 years now. I had a bilateral mastectomy, and I chose to have that. I know it increased my chances of survival. And also I would have had to have a reduction in the other breast anyway, so I figured if I was going to have surgery, I may as well have them both taken off. So my lymph nodes were involved. After surgery, they had taken out 15 of my lymph nodes that looked funny. 2 of them were positive. We started chemotherapy in July. I was on TAC from July till October, and then we started 36 rounds of radiation from October until January. People think that when you're on chemotherapy, you're sick all the time, but you're not. For me, I had to accept my cycle of chemotherapy. So what that means is that I would go on a Monday, and I would have the chemo then, and I would feel pretty good. I had 3 days of sleep and then 3 days of wide awake. So I called it night classes with God because I read my Bible at night. And again, that's where I got very close to him. And that went on until Sunday. And then Sunday I would wake up feeling fantastic, but only really bad heartburn. And so I would take something for the heartburn, and then I was okay. And then 2 weeks I had were really good weeks. People would drop off meals and be like, wait a minute, are you still sick? Is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I feel fine. So I felt good for 2 weeks, and then I would start drinking my water 2 days before chemo again, because you got to make sure you're super, super hydrated before you have that chemotherapy. I knew my hair was going to fall out. It was a given. I had already had 1 treatment, and I think it was during the 2nd treatment that it began to fall out, and it was a matter of just pulling lightly, and out it came. And it alarmed me a little bit, but I already knew that I was going to shave it off as soon as it started happening. So I took a set of clippers and went out to the backyard, and I was all by myself. And I clipped off my hair, first made it really short, and then I took off the number 2 or number 1, whatever that was, and then I just went right down to bare. And I looked like G.I. Jane, if you know that movie. So it looked, I still could see the darkness of it, but I knew then that only little pieces would fall out, and it wouldn't clog my drain or anything like that. And I left it outside for the birds. They could make their nests out of it. So I think I had read that somewhere and thought that would be a really neat thing to do. There was one day I was coming back from school, and my kids went to the daycare right across the street. So I grabbed the kids, and we were on our way home, and I said, oh, let's have ice cream. So I got out of the car, and I was walking up to Gannon's with the kids, and we were all excited to have an ice cream for dinner. And we went up to the thing, and there was a guy coming out, and he's like, oh my God, look at you. And I had completely just forgotten that I was bald-headed. So I was like, oh well, what am I gonna do about it? May as well not cover it up. It's the truth. It's what I am. Finding out, just the very moment of finding out, and then thinking about what would happen with my children and not being there for them. My husband traveled a lot, and it was very difficult to think of what that could look like if I wasn't there anymore for them. And I don't know, that was the hardest part for me, was just think about what would happen. I didn't really care so much about my job or my career or anything else. I just was worried about my kids. Honestly, I became very much closer to God in my faith during that time, and that really helped me through everything. I was invited to a Young Survivors support group, and that was wonderful because I was able to see other girls that were in different phases of their life or different phases of their treatment, and it kind of gave me what to look forward to. It was out of hematology oncology. I think we were about 6 or 7 girls at the time, and we were all under 40 with young kids. We used some books and some guidance from family members. And the first thing we talked about only was surgery. And we said, hugs will feel a little bit different because, I have something growing inside me that has to come off. And then there was also a family support group, and it was a program for 6 weeks. We met every Wednesday, and dinner was provided, so no one had to cook. And again, it was led by the ladies at Hematology Oncology. And it had a kids program, so the kids went with nurses and one psychologist, and the adults stayed with the other. And we talked about what things we were going through, and that gave the kids a chance to talk about what they were going through at home. I didn't have reconstruction because I really felt like at the time, with my kids being so young, I wanted every single chance of survival. And I figured if I had something there, it might be in the way, so I didn't want to bother. I knew that I always could. I made sure that insurance would cover it. My surgeon said I could have it anytime I wanted to, and I considered it for 1 year, but then I let it go because I was comfortable in the prosthetics. But during the summer, they're very hot. You get very sweaty. They're very heavy. It just doesn't feel right. It didn't feel right to me. So one day I was kind of in tears putting the heavy bra on, and my daughter said, "Why do you wear it if it makes you so unhappy?" And I said, "You know what? I think I won't." And I didn't. I stopped wearing it, and I looked online for some resources of, what I should wear to kind of hide or cover up, and I found a group called Flat and Fabulous. There was already a group started that girls were starting to go without their bras and just be flat. And I've been very, very, very happy since then. I think I didn't take anything for granted. I wanted to make sure I took advantage of opportunities. I wanted to give back to my community and my church for all that they had done for me. So I kind of hit the ground running. I became a Girl Scout leader. I was a religious ed coordinator at my church. I went back to work. I did projects there as well. And it just was, my friend says I went 0 to 60 in about a month. And so I became so busy that I didn't really have time to think about what I had just been through or what had happened. And I think I needed that, but at the same time, it was unhealthy for me. And so I finally started to slow down and just take time for myself and take time to spend more quality time with my family. Instead of cleaning the house on Saturday, we went out, we were doing things. So it was better for us as a family to do that. I feel very feminine, but I think I feel my femininity through, just my persona, my smile, a little bit of makeup, a little bit of hair, jewelry. I tend to wear more jewelry, I think, now than I did before diagnosis. I don't know why that is. Growing up, I was kind of a tomboy, so I don't necessarily feel like I go overboard with a lot of the girly stuff. But I think I do make sure that I have it within my outward appearance. I don't want to ever be considered a boy, I guess. When I was a kid, I was accused often of being a boy. And now that I'm flat, I think I do worry about it a little bit because it is part of being feminine. Society does definitely make boobs part of that. It's hard to find shirts that are not so low cut that it doesn't show my scars. And that's something I'm concerned with. It's taken some time to feel sexy. My husband has a lot to do with that. He's very attentive and he's very good about letting me know that I look good. My daughter too, she always says, "Oh, Mom, that looks great on you." She's good about that. So yeah, I guess I do. I guess the first thing I'd say is start praying because I think that's the first thing you need to have is some faith and hope in your life. And if you don't have it, that's where you got to start. Next, educate yourself. Find out what kind of cancer you have. What are the treatments that are out there? And get some people in your life that know what that is, whether it's doctors or other survivors. And if you haven't found a group of other survivors, look for that. Whether you can look like I was fortunate to have somebody at Hematology Oncology put me in a support group, which was wonderful for me. But now I'm on a triple negative survivors group that's on Facebook, and I'm able to go on there, and there's girls that are just diagnosed and they're so scared, and they'll say, just somebody please tell me how long you've been out of this and how that you're still surviving and that everything is going to be okay. At my stage of my journey, I'm 12 years out of being a survivor of cancer. I really feel confident now. I feel comfortable in my own skin, and I want other ladies to feel that too, other girls to feel that, because there's so many survivors out there. There are so many of us, and some of us are younger and some are older, and it doesn't matter who you are. You just need to get to a point where you feel comfortable in your own skin. And so I couldn't have done this a couple of years ago. And when I told my sister I was doing this, she said, I'm so proud of you. She said, you finally got to a place where you're comfortable. And I said, I do. I feel confident now. I don't think about it as much anymore. There's a lot of growing to do when you go flat. But like I said, I've done that for 6 years now, and took 4 years to feel comfortable, totally comfortable. But now I am. I'm just so happy now.